Hello, everybody. So, I have something kind of experimental and exciting to discuss. I have decided to use my powers for good. No, I'm kidding. I feel like I always do. But I mean, for good in a way that's going to benefit all of you in the most effective way. And what I'm going to do is, first of all, recognize that whatever I do present and teach you and the knowledge I present with you for you, you can use however you like. And I just hope that you take notes and you utilize this information and what I'm providing you and use it to get whatever you want. No, I'm just kidding. But to benefit you in every way possible, which is essentially getting whatever you want, right? But in a good way. My house is haunted. Okay. So, what I'm going to do is I'm going to use the topic of psychology, but practical day-to-day useful psychology to make a few mini series um episodes on um different topics related to practical psychology that will help you in your day-to-day living and your day-to-day like success and goal achieving your goals. Okay, and I'm going to use this video sort of as an experiment, see what kind of response I get, see if people are interested in this. And today we're going to talk about using practical psychology for workplace communication. Okay, so it's about utilizing psychology to better understand behavioral science in the workplace and behaviors in the workplace to enhance your communication and help you to do it better depending on different personality types, different psychological standpoints, and adaptations that people have. And that is what tonight's video is going to be about. So there's going to be 7 in this series if I continue it. If I find that there's interest in it, I'm going to do 7 of them, and then we'll move on to another topic. And you guys can make a suggestion about what you think would be interesting to discuss. And you can make comments or suggestions at any time about any topics or anything practical that you'd like me to talk about or to cover. And I can do a video about that. But I feel like I have all this knowledge and expertise in this area, and I've made videos about it, but I haven't really given you any substance, like anything that you can use really. And that's what this is about. It's about giving you guys something that will help you, that will be useful to you, and that you can harness, take notes on it, and like use it for good. Okay, so let's dive into it. So the first topic tonight is going to be understanding personality types for better communication, and that is essentially the best starting place because you have to understand who you're dealing with to be able to pick out and recognize their behaviors, and that in that manner then you can respond in a tailored way towards those particular behaviors in order to capitalize on those relationships and those communications and to get the most out of them and to make them the most effective. Okay, so I'm going to introduce the importance of recognizing different personality types, explain how personality affects communication styles, which it does in the biggest way. A lot of people will say, well, if someone says something this way, or if they like shake their head no while they're saying yes, it means they're lying, like all these sorts of things. It's not true. I'm sorry, there's like a little fly and it's flying around my face and it's really weird. And my house is haunted tonight and all kinds of weird shit's happening. So, anyways, then I'm going to provide a few actionable tips at the end on adapting to various personality traits, okay, in your communication. And that will be helpful. So, I'm going to break down popular personality frameworks like the Myers-Briggs test, which you guys are probably familiar with. I'll get into it, but a lot of workplaces, if you're in an office environment particularly, or a social services environment, have brought in the Myers-Briggs for its staff and asked everybody to take this self-assessment to determine their own personality type. And it's a lot of times for self-awareness, but I don't believe that. I believe it's so the supervisors and HR can recognize your personality type and they can do what we're going to do to everybody else. They can do it to you. They can psychology you. That's what I think that's about. But we're going to recognize key traits in colleagues, introverts versus extroverts, analytical versus emotional, okay? And that's a framework on its own. How to tailor your communication style to fit different personalities, and practical workplace examples of adapting communication to personality types, okay? So let's dive into this. So, hello, everybody, and welcome, okay? So we're going to master workplace communication through psychology, utilizing psychology. Today, we're diving into professional relationships, understanding personality types, knowing how to communicate effectively with different personalities, and how that can completely transform the way you interact with the team, with your colleagues, with your supervisors. And we're going to break it all down and do like a deep dive into this, okay? So, first topic is why personality types matter. So let's think about this. So we've all had, and everyone's had had one person who thrives on details and planning. And you know the one, they're so annoying. Maybe it's you. And it's me. And it's someone who thrives on every detail. They're anal, planning, anal. Everything has to be so structured. Well, another prefers to jump right in without hesitation. They personality differences like these affect not just how we work, but how we communicate, okay? So recognizing and adapting to these differences is crucial for avoiding conflict and fostering collaboration. So you having this knowledge, I know it sounds like you adapting, it's like you having to be inauthentic or you having to bow down to their personality type. No, it's not. It is EQ. It is emotional intelligence. It is knowledge and psychological intelligence, and knowing how to manipulate your own communication style in order to get the best effect, the best outcome, and the biggest impact out of whatever you're trying to communicate, or whatever you're working on with this individual that has a different personality type, okay? So that's why it's so important. And it's also going to help you avoid conflicts, because when you recognize it, all it takes is one person to recognize these differences and conflicts are avoided, okay? So because you have the knowledge and the understanding and the recognition, the skills necessary to recognize is what the key factor is here, okay? Understanding someone's personality isn't about labeling them, it's about connecting in a way that feels natural and productive. So let's break down some of the common frameworks you might have heard of, starting with the Myers-Briggs type indicator. So we'll call it the MBTI, but that is the test where they've handed you the one sheet of paper or the two sheets of paper, and you've gone through it and you've had to check off all these different, what would you do in these situations? How would you respond? This and that. And that is you being psychoanalyzed. Okay. So in the MBTI model, one key aspect is whether someone is an introvert or an extrovert. So introverts tend to recharge by spending time alone, while extroverts gain energy from social interaction. So if you're a manager and a boss and you have that one employee that is always at everyone else's desk, like every hour they're at everyone's desk talking and disturbing them and interrupting them, it's not because they're a pain in the ass. It's because they are recharging and resetting themselves emotionally and neurologically and cognitively to be able to perform and do their best work. So what you need to do is utilize this knowledge that you have, that this is something they need to perform at their best, and find a way for them to be able to do this without disturbing everybody else who is an introvert and who doesn't need that social interaction to recharge them and to get them on their game and to keep them on their game, okay? So you got to be creative and get thinking, and you can do that because you'll recognize this. No longer is that person the pain in the ass that walks around disturbing everyone. Now you know. No, according to Myers-Briggs, they are the extrovert. This is their power. This is like what gives them their motivation and what gives them their cognitive sharpness and their ability to think clearly and logically and to be on top of things, okay? So that's a game changer if you're a manager. And if you are the person who does this, it's a game changer because now you've just learned something about yourself, okay? You're not a pain in the butt. You're actually just a different type of personality, and that's what functions in your brain to give you that dopamine to keep you on your game. Okay? So don't be ashamed of it. It is what it is. So in a meeting, an introvert may be prefer to process information quietly before speaking, they might speak last, okay? Or they might not speak at all. Well, an extrovert will be verbal. They'll verbalize their ideas as they come. They'll say whatever's crossing their brain comes out their mouth. They recognize that this helps you draw out valuable insights from both types of people. Recognizing that this helps you draw out valuable insights from both types of people without overwhelming or excluding anybody. So somebody isn't quiet necessarily because they don't know anything about what's going on in the meeting and they have no understanding. Sometimes they're just quiet because that's their personality type, and they're saving their information till they round up a little bit about everybody else's, and they're learning from the herd, okay? And they are an introvert personality, and that is a valuable asset, but as equally someone who just pops in and is able to share what's crossing their mind, what they're thinking about, what they're learning as they go, is also a valuable commodity and an asset in an organization as well. So recognize that, okay? So another great tool is the DISC model. It categorizes people into 4 types. So there's the dominance, the influence, the steadiness, and the conscientiousness, okay? And these, you might not have heard of the DISC model. I haven't seen it presented in the workplace yet. Myers-Briggs is quite common, and it has been for about 2 years. But DISC I haven't seen brought out into the Gen Pop. So if you know, you know. But dominant types are direct and assertive, okay? And this can be seen as combative and ignorant and rude jerks. So, but it's just a personality type. They're dominant. They can't help it. They're not trying to be offensive. They are what they are. And sometimes they do come off as offensive and rude, but you just gotta like breathe and know this is them. Don't let it get you, because they were born this way, okay? They were made this way. Like, it might as well be a third arm as far as I'm concerned, but whatever. We need them because they do push things forward. So the steady types are the kind that are more thoughtful and reserved. Knowing this will allow you to adjust your tone and approach to align with their preferences. So the steady type, they are more reserved. They're more reserved. They're more, I want to keep saying steady, but consistent and steady is the best way to describe them. That's what they are. And there's not a lot of ups and downs. There's not a lot of power tripping, or they're not laying down like doormats either. They're just, just riding the wave, not causing problems, not standing out. They're just doing their job, okay? So conscientious types are going to be your easiest to get along with. They are the type that are very aware of other people. They're very aware of other types of feelings, other people's feelings, aware of how you're impacted by their behavior, by their work, by their lack of work, by their insight, by how they behave. And it's a lot of stress on them, actually, to be the conscientious type, because that is something that causes them to be consistently self-analyzing. And that's something you can recognize too. That might be someone who's a little bit more high stress. And the reason they're high stress is because they are constantly very self-aware of how everything impacts other people, okay? So that is valuable to recognize when you see they might not have a problem with stress and anxiety. They might just be super duper conscientious, and it's managing them. They're not managing it. That's all. So let's put it into perspective. If you are presenting an idea to a dominant personality, get straight to the point, okay? Don't waste any time. Don't present them with details and this sort of stuff. Get straight to the point, okay? That is going to be how they like their information served up, okay? But if your audience is more conscientious, bring data and well-structured details. Bring the small fine matters that that back up whatever you're presenting or the information you're sharing or the communication you're relaying. Have that information, because this person's going to want it, because they're very conscientious, they're very aware, and they're very detail oriented. Okay. So that these are very small shifts that make a massive difference. And for instance, boring your dominant coworker with small details is just going to frustrate them and annoy them and cause a conflict, cause a personality conflict. Okay. So being able to recognize these differences in people is really a valuable skill. And once you start utilizing it, and if you take notes on this and you try and pinpoint who these people are in your workplace and you try and pick them off, then you'll realize what a skill it is. It might just sound like a lot of useless information right now, but once you start picking these people off and watching how they behave, you'll be like, oh my God, that's right. According to Myers-Briggs, this is what they are. So according to DISC, this is what they are. So, and you'll recognize it and you'll be like, I need to do this way when I'm working with this person. And you'll find how valuable this is. Okay. So here's a few quick tips to better communicate with different personality types at work. So identify patterns. Pay attention to how your colleagues respond to different scenarios. So watch them in meetings, watch them during work, watch them in the hallways. Who's up and down? Who's bouncing from desk to desk talking? Who's sitting by themselves? Who takes a few minutes over lunch to do some journaling instead of sitting with a group and eating? Okay. Pay attention and flex your style a little bit. Match their communication style, your communication style with theirs without compromising your authenticity. Just sort of like I was giving the example with not overwhelming the dominant with small details, but offering those small details to the conscientious. Okay. That is flexing your communication style and being able to be flexible with your sorry, I'm using the wrong words here. I'm using slang. Being able to be flexible with your communication style depending on those person's communication needs and their personality traits and personality style. Okay. And ask for feedback. This shows that you value other people's perspective and you're willing to adapt. Say to them, if you see somebody and you recognize that they don't respond normally, or you feel like there's a conflict, you feel like there's a personality conflict or something that isn't meeting, ask them. Say, is there something that I do that makes your job more difficult every day? Is there something in the way I'm communicating that's making it harder for us to work together? Ask. It always helps to ask. Then they know you give a damn. And if they're a rude jerk about it, then you can add rude jerk to their personality type. But you just learn more from that. So it's always useful. You can't get dumber. Okay? No one can take knowledge from you. You're never going to get dumber. So you'll just get smarter from every interaction. So it doesn't matter how they react. You'll get smarter from it no matter what. So you'll always be the winner. And that's a fact. It is what it is. So in closing, if you found this video helpful, give me a hit on the like button. Let me know. Subscribe. Stay tuned for the next episode, which is active listening techniques, which is going to be a really good one, because everyone thinks they know how to listen, but a lot of people just listen to hear. They don't listen to understand. And I'm going to get into a few tips and tricks on how to rein yourself in and become a better listener, which isn't obvious. You think it's obvious, but it's not. There are tricks to it. But I'm not going to go and do a 7-part series if you guys don't like it. So hit the like button, subscribe if you enjoy this video, if you found it useful, and leave me some comments. And if you have ideas or topics you want me to cover, get into it. Like, let's take advantage of this. I'm going to do this if it's useful, and I want everyone to benefit from it and get the most from it. So let me know what you want, and I will see you guys soon. Have a lovely, lovely evening. Take care.